Greetings. Hi, it's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, your professor for this small business planning class. And in week 7, the small business plan is due. And it's a team project in order to help lighten your load, but also to help you see other ways of doing things. And yes, it's a project that is a team project to help you learn to work better on a team. There are a lot of benefits to being on a team, and one of them is that when you have so many people on a team, you get to see things other people's ways and have more ideas to use. But you need to be able to utilize the strengths and ideas of each of your team members by being proactive and really being a good listener, but also being proactive in how you schedule your time to interact with them. You have to do it in a meaningful way, and I know that as adults we all have very busy lives. But this is a course that can be very, very valuable to you as an employee or even future business owner, because it really helps you understand how to run a successful business. I know our textbook is really thick and there's a lot of chapters that we're going through, but the examples of each of the concepts in it are really rich. And the assignments that are in this course are designed to really help you understand the subtleties of what it takes to develop and run a successful business. Now, we want all of our graduates to get amazing paying jobs or be able to start million-dollar businesses if that's their wish. But wanting something really means that you've got to have a strategy in place in order to do it. And then all stakeholders need to want to do their part. Well, what I'm suggesting to you is that in online classes, you really have to schedule your time to be successful. This is why I piecemeal. I don't just say, hey, go through all these chapters and by the end of week 8, you should be done. You know, I'm sending you through specific assignments and specific chapters at a time that makes sense, but you still have to schedule time to do the work. See, learning is an active process, as you hear me continue to say. And in order for you to learn things, you've got to be taking in the information, then reflecting on the concepts. And be thinking about, where have I seen this before? Do I agree with this? If I don't agree with it, why don't I agree with it? Or what's another company that may be using this same concept? You know, McDonald's is one of the most successful companies of all time, and I like using them as an example because they've got all these wonderful systems in place that makes it such a successful company. And then when the competition starts gaining some of their market share, they take a look at what's going on and they revamp their business just a little bit and create new strategies and systems in order to keep their company successful. Let's face it, there really is enough success in this world for everyone, but in order to have a successful business, you've got to be very clear on who you are and who you aren't. You got to be very clear on who your competition is, and every company has competition. You know, we do things like have substitutes for other things. McDonald's is in the hamburger business, but they're also in the food retailing business, and they're also in the customer service business, and they're also in the coffee business. And being very, very clear on who their competition is in each of those different areas is really, really important. They're not Starbucks, but they compete with Starbucks, and they do it very successfully. I love buying a $1 cup of coffee, a large cup of coffee that's got the ingredients that I like, enough sugar and enough cream just to how I like it. And it's handed to me in a friendly smile when I drive through their window every morning. It's worth $1 to me. Would I pay $5 for a cup of coffee that's done my way from McDonald's? Heck no. And they know that. But does Starbucks sell $5 cups of coffee? Absolutely, and people pay it because they love it. It's worth it to them. You're buying ambience, you're buying quality when you buy Starbucks. And then I'm not saying that my McDonald's cup of coffee in the morning isn't quality, but quality is relative. And I love having a nice cup of Starbucks when I celebrate something or when I have extra money in my pocket. But I'm not a regular Starbucks customer, and they know that. But they do have their regulars that they have earned. And because they continue to provide value to their target market, people continue to come back and become raving fans about their products. And Starbucks is famous for doing that. And McDonald's too. You know, I've got a small child at home, and I've got a couple of daughters who are grown up now, but McDonald's has been a really big part of our life. It's an American thing to do, to go to McDonald's and have lunch there or dinner there or even breakfast there, depending on who you are. But they've created that particular experience for us as consumers. Same with the Starbucks model. But it's that way with any company. You know, you go into a McDonald's in New York and it will be the same feeling and flavors as it is in Seattle. That's the cool thing about McDonald's, is those are the systems that are in place. You know what you're getting and you know what you don't get. But every good business has a business plan of action that really defines who they are, who their customers are, who their competition is, and works through each section of this business plan to help them really be focused and clear about how they're building revenues by earning loyal customers who hopefully are eventually becoming raving fans. They're talking about their products or services with so much joy that their people in their circle want to buy it too. That's earned. So any business can be successful, but you can't be all things to all people. And when you're working on a project like this with your team members, you got to make time to work through every single section on your own. And that's why I say the executive summary is last, because that kind of sums things up. So you can't have the executive summary until you've worked through all the different sections of the small business plan, but you've got your model. You're developing the model, the systems that are going to be in place to make this company successful. When I grade it, I'm going to be thinking about all the different sections, and if I were a banker or an investor, would I give you money to invest in this business? Because I'm going to want to get my money back. I don't want to just throw money at you and so you walk away with money in your pocket and then you flush it down the toilet because the plan of action didn't work. Are you really thinking through each of the different sections of your small business plan with your team members to work the kinks out? Make it viable. You know, learn how to create a successful business plan that will really work, and then do it on your own. Or apply the concepts when you're working for an employer, and because you understand how to operate, you know, your department or your division or your part of the business that you're in. You know, but that really means understanding the big picture, what the company is all about, who their customers are, the ins and outs of the product, what distinguishes your product from the competitors, who the competitors are, the location that you're going to be in and why you've chosen that location and why that's a wise decision for that. You know, what research have you done to make sure that the product is viable or services. It takes a lot to think about putting together a small business plan. And I get it, it's a little daunting. But you eat an elephant one bite at a time. I mean, you have to schedule time for success. Learning is an active process. Use this amazing textbook that we have to understand the ins and outs. What goes on behind the scenes, the thinking of the best leaders of every level of the organizations that are brought up in our textbook, and think about concepts on how to apply those. You could look at McDonald's, for example, and say, what systems do they have in place that we can use to make this work? What kind of partnerships do they have? Right? I mean, I take my son every month to buy him a Happy Meal because there's a different toy in there. And you may not know this, but McDonald's is the biggest toy retailer in the world. Yes, I said it, the biggest toy retailer in the world. They used to be the biggest food company in the world, and they're not there anymore. But that's very common, is if you have a strong plan of action as a leader in a business, you can establish yourself and grow properly. You got to have a plan in place. You just cannot start in Seattle and start driving east and end up in New York. You got to have the right plan in place with benchmarks and timelines so that you know where you need to be at the right times and what those right times are. So this is what you're doing, is you're thinking through the processes of being a successful business plan. Hopefully you have found with your team members a company that you want to build the infrastructure through for this small business plan, and you're doing research. Remember, you have to have 5 library resources or viable resources. You can't use Wikipedia. You can't use dictionary.com. You use edu and websites and .gov websites and library resources for your research. Really make it a powerful experience, and you got to make time in your busy life for this class. Schedule it first. Don't have late deadlines. Have early deadlines. Make fake deadlines for yourself so that you are studying the chapters several times and reading the chapters and taking good notes and going through the assignments step by step and really taking time to reflect, to learn. You're practicing critical thinking by thinking through each section. Why would that be? Why wouldn't it be this? Or does this mean this, or does this mean that? Where have I seen this before? Oh, another example of this would be this. That's active learning. These are things that really smart people do to really learn the concepts of any course that they're going through. You've got wonderful resources available for you, and I encourage you to use them to the best of your ability and just make time to be successful. Again, I want to reemphasize, and I do it in every announcement, every single section needs to be worked on by you individually. Don't assign sections to people. Every section needs to be assigned to every person on your team with one business concept in mind. Are you selling hamburgers? Are you selling sandwiches? Don't sell coffee. But if you're doing coffee, work through each section on your own. Do some research. What have you seen? And then create a plan of action in your business plan. And then after you work through whatever you decide on how many sections at a time, connect with your team members either in person or virtually. Even if you have to do a couple team members at a time or corresponding back and forth via email or using the discussion thread that I've created for you and your team, you've got to be proactive in collaborating. It's due in week 7 and it's week 4 now. Ideally you're halfway done. And then you're just correcting, you're synthesizing what you're seeing. I mean, if every person is working on every single section on their own, and then you're coming together to evaluate each section and talking about the strengths and doing things to whittle out the weaknesses, you should be able to synthesize a project that any one person can't do as well as a team. And with so many minds, eyes, and hands, it should be perfect. Potentially, you can create $1 million business on paper and have thought everything through so well and researched it that you'll all be millionaires in a year. I've seen it happen over and over again. The GoCam guy, he was in his 30s when he became a billionaire because he had a good idea. And Howard Schultz was a mature adult who was now a billionaire when he came up with his idea. And look at Bill Gates from Microsoft. He had to drop out of college because he had a really great idea and he enrolled the right people. And he's the richest man in the world because he had a great idea and a solid plan of action. And then involved the right people to help refine his ideas. Any great business, you can track back to a person who used other people's insights to make things even better. That's how it works. But you got to have a clear plan of action, and that's what this class is all about. You can't fake learning. This is not high school. This is college. And you're an adult, and you need, if you want to pass the class, which I want for you, you've got to do the work. And you've got to be proactive in managing yourself in a way that helps you gain all the benefits of any good class. You know, we have high standards in our program for a reason. We want our students to be seen as the best of the best. You will not get a degree from being on autopilot here. You cannot fake learning. If I hear from your team members that you are not actively participating, you'll get a 0 on the final project. It's in the syllabus. I don't want anyone to fail my classes, but you fail yourself by not scheduling time to do the work. And if you know what the work is, and you do, we do 1 or 2 chapters every week, just be proactive in working yourself through each of the chapters by the deadline, hopefully be way before the deadline is over. And then taking time to really understand it. If you're taking quizzes and they're hard, you haven't studied hard and long enough. Take good notes. Do that active thinking that I've talked about. Then schedule time to work through each of the different sections in the small business plan. Be proactive about that. And then connect with all of your team members, either virtually or in person. And if you can't make it, contact several members and then do that individually with them, so that you have something to contribute and they can clearly see that you're being proactive and you're not being lazy. You can't dump this project on anybody else and pass this class. Please be proactive. I want to see everybody learn a lot and have a positive experience, but it's all on you. I'm here to help if you have questions, but I need you to make time to be proactive in the project and the coursework. I love recording A's in our grade book. It shows me that students are mastering the course concepts. That's what an A means. And when I record C's in the grade book, it's because students have shown me that they've done just average level work. Do you want to be average? And when I record D's or F's, it's because usually not that people are stupid, because nobody is stupid, but they have used their time not wise enough. As I continue to say, you got to be proactive. So I want you to have a positive experience, but schedule time for success. Work through each section. Really be thinking about what that specifically looks like. I mean, imagine yourself taking it to a banker and that banker going, "Oh my gosh, this is a great idea. You have thought through everything. Yes, we'll loan you this money." That's what I want for you. I would love for everyone in this class who wants to be a millionaire know how to get there. I want anybody who wants to grow their career be so knowledgeable about business that employers can't afford to let you go and want to pay you big money to be a leader in their organization to make sure the systems are in place that are making the company effective and competitive. That's what we want for you here at Pierce College. You're in a great program. We have high standards. But in order for you to be successful at meeting those high standards, you have to schedule time for success. Time is connected with everything. I'm here to help, but I can't help if you don't ask. And I don't want to help you if you are not showing me that you're being proactive in scheduling your time for success. Don't waste your money by taking a class where you're not ready to do the work. You know, you can do this. I see lots of people do very well in our classes and then go on and do amazing things. Thank you so much for being here. I'm here to help if you have questions. Make it a powerful and positive learning experiences by scheduling time for success. I'm Dr. Paul Gerhardt. Have a great day. You get to choose.